Welcome back. It's time to get started filling in our giraffes. I keep on wanting to say zebras, and that's just me. I know. I'm going to go ahead and start with my, let's see, let's go light. Let's go light. So which one would we need? An H or a B? Well, in order to go light, we need an H. And out of these pencils, you have a 3H. So I'm going to go ahead and zoom a little bit. We're going to work on this little guy here. I know it's really hard to see in the video simply because it's so light the camera doesn't even want to focus in on it. So I'm going to get a couple lines done so you can see what I'm talking about. So it'll have something to focus on. I'm just coming in here and literally coloring him in. But you don't have to color in every single piece because you can use a torch. And I didn't mention this before, you know, you can also use a Q-tip or a tissue or a napkin, and that does the same basic thing as well. All right, so that's the top of the baby's nose or snout. So, ooh, I need to fix that. So it's this part right here. I just colored it in. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start filling in all of the parts with this light color. Try to stay pretty true to the designs that they have given you. I know it's a lot, and this project will probably take you a long time to do simply because it is a lot of dots, and spots, and all of that. But it's going to be worth it. All right. So you see what I'm doing here. I'm just, just simply filling in the little shapes. If you do it a little bit different than me, it's okay. Every artist is different. Every artist has their own style. It's totally fine. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and pause the video. And once I've got my little guy done with the 3H, I will sign back on. Once you've got yours done with the 3H, sign back on, and or unpause, I should say, and we'll go on to the next step. But I tell you what, put on some good music, get yourself a soda, and just sit there and fill it in, fill it in. It's going to be worth it. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and pause. And once you have finish your little baby giraffe with your small, or with your 3H, then, oops, sorry, we will get back started. All right, you guys, so welcome back. I have filled in my little zebra dude. He is adorable, but he is very scribbled. So now I'm going to come around with my torch, my Q-tip, whichever you want to use, and I'm going to hit each and every one of those sections one time with a good little blend. Nothing extreme, and if you go outside the lines a little bit, it's okay, because that's just going to help with the overall aesthetic of your giraffe. So it's totally fine if you go outside. I mean, don't scribble like this, but you know, you can accidentally go out the lines a little bit. If you go outside the lines of the neck, you do want to erase that, because spots don't extend past the neck. All right, so the further down the giraffe you get, you'll notice the longer and larger the spots get. And then you also notice that they kind of start to trail out into this, like this long one down here. So we're just going to work with that. Just keep blending, just keep blending. All right, come on down. Let's get these little guys over here. At first I thought this was Mama's leg, and then I looked a little closely and realized, no, it's baby's. Drag it out. Let's do this knee here. There. Not too shabby, huh? Okay, so now I want to go back to my 3H, and I want to give a little bit of an edging, but I'm not pushing hard. I'm just going to outline our little dude. I need to give him a name. I'm thinking, well, the name that comes to mind is Oswald. So this is going to be Oswald the giraffe. Typically, I request that students not use what I call furry lines, which is where you're constantly, when you do a furry line, something like that, because if you look deeply closely, that's not a very attractive line now, is it? As opposed to that. So I usually recommend doing the nice smooth line. But when you're doing something that is actually furry, hairy, it's okay to do the hairy line. You know, they're like, okay, I'm gonna draw an eye. And it's like, I don't have a hairy eyeball. I do have eyelashes, of course, but I don't want my eyeball hairy. So that's a hairy line eyeball. This one looks a little bit more human, I guess you could say. Less furry. So when it comes to drawing smooth things, use smooth lines. When it's furry things, you do furry lines. So I'm doing kind of a furry line. I mean, I'm not stressing it too hard, but we do need it to look like it's an animal, not a statue. Oh, you know what? I think I just did. Oh no, that's his leg. Okay. It's so lightly drawn on this picture, it's hard to see. We have a little bit of belly here. Oh, I went too far in. And the reason I can say that I went too far in is if you, the belly doesn't come in front of the leg. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and zoom out because I don't want to keep drawing and you be like, I can't see what you're doing, you've gone off the video. So here we go. Now if I'm going too fast for you at any time, please pause. That's the glory of pause. And as always, always, if you have questions, concerns, requests, any of that, you can always contact me, email, phone. I do have a direct line that I give to my students, 985-381-7012. That is a local number for, it goes straight to me. So a lot of people are like, well, I want to get an easel, but I don't know which one to buy. I'm at Michael's. What do I do? I've had people call me and ask that, and I'll guide you. I'll walk you through the aisles. I know Michael's like the back of my hand. All right, so I have outlined our little dude, and now I want to go to my B. I want to get a nice dark B. So let's go ahead and do a 5B. What I'm trying to do are the darkest parts. The eye, a little bit of the chest area, and under here. So I'm going to come under here and do the darkest. I'm pushing. I am really pushing down. And then I'm going to start lifting my pressure, because I'm going to work in little bitty areas. Lift the pressure, lift the pressure, lift the pressure, barely push, just let the pencil glide on it, and there you go. Let's do it again. Let's put a little bit of darkness in here. Not as dark as this one, but a little bit of darkness in here. Let's do a nice deep area right here, just kind of like a V. I'm gonna come up to the eyeball and do a little bit in there. I'm gonna add a little dark line down there. And that should be okay. Now comes the 3H again. And what I'm going to do for this part, so I'm just going to add, well, first of all, I forgot to connect right here. I'm going to add a little bit of a scribbled edge all the way along. I'm going to zoom in so you can see it. Whoops, sorry, I didn't mean to shake the camera. All the way along the edging. Because when something is rounded, like an arm or a leg, it's going to be brightest at the closest part to you and darkest on the edges. So what we want to do is give the illusion that it is a rounded leg. Oh, once again, I'm doodling outside the video. Oops, sorry. We want a rounded leg. I hate whenever I do that. I'm so sorry, you guys. For those of you who've been with me for a while know that I'm kind of famous for that. I need to stop zooming in. Just gonna add a little bit of edging. Now I'm gonna come down to the hooves. I'm gonna darken right here on the inside and bring it out. Inside bottom corner. Let's darken over here and over here. And now I think we're ready to shade Oswald. I'm going to start with my edging. I'm just going to zoom in on the face. I promise you I won't leave it on there and move on. We need to just drag your torch all around your edging. Go over the spots if you want. It's okay. They're still going to show. But see, now he looks rounded. I'm not liking how his mouth is. So let's come down a little bit. When I hit this Y, it's going to darken my torch a lot. See that? And that's going to make almost like its own pencil, which is a good thing. Come on down. There you go. So now you're going to blend all the other parts. I'm a violent scrubber, so I'm sorry the camera shakes on occasion. Here, I'm just coloring in the back part, because the further away, the darker it is. Let's come on into this belly area. Pressing as you go. Now let's do this bottom area. If you do it right, you won't see any lines between the dark to the light. It's pretty close. All right, so I'm going to zoom out. I'm going to continue working on my little giraffe. We're going to go ahead and pause because I'm not going to introduce anything new on this. Just going to finish them up. And when you're done finishing them up, unpause and we will start working on Mama. All right? All right, so baby Oswald is done. Now he needs Mama to kiss him on the forehead. We're going to do Mama the exact same way we did baby Oswald. So I'm going to go ahead and fill in his spots. Her spots. I'm so sorry. Her spots. Although it could be Daddy kissing him on the head too. And then we're going to outline and then shadow. So we're going to go ahead and pause one more time while I fill in my polka dots with my 3H. Wait, where's my 3H? Here's my 3H. We're going to use this to fill in all the little polka dots on the big one here. And then we'll pause or unpause and we'll continue on. All right, I'm back. Whew, she took a lot of work. That was crazy spots. I did find, and I'm sure you did too, I ended up having to kind of create some border lines and stuff for some of the squares and blobs because there were some starts and no finishes. So the glorious thing about spots on an animal is that it is organic looking, so it's totally fine if you make your own. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to torch it, and I don't mean with fire. I go in and I'm going to start filling in my spots. Now take a look at this spot. It's a very flat spot, right? I don't want a flat spot. So this is purely optional, but you can come in with your 6 or 5B and you can add a little bit of darkness, just a little bit. Then take your torch and blend it, scribble it, really drag it around. And it gives it a little bit of dimension. And you can do this for any of the spots you like, and it'll just add some depth to your creature. So we're going to go ahead and pause again, and you're going to torch all of your spots. Okay, so I have darkened a few of the spots, mainly in the part that is the closest to the camera. I want to darken a few spots on her face. So I'm just going to come in. I'm using my 2B because it's just the one that I grabbed, but any of the B's is fine for darkening some. Just add a little bit of scribble in each one just to darken it. Let's go ahead and do this pupil. And then I'm going to torch him. Okay, the next step that we did with baby was we took our 3H and we went ahead and did, remember the hairy line all the way around? Let's go ahead and do that and then we'll get back to it. So let's go ahead and pause. All right, so we have outlined the mom with our 3H, and now we want to go ahead and edge each of the lines. Remember, we want to make it look rounded. So just a subtle little color in all along the edge. Try and turn your paper instead of putting your hand in it, because this will get nice and dark and it'll smear everywhere. So just come on around the whole thing. Especially down here where there's no spots to show that it is a leg. We don't want just like this big white stick sticking out. It's all the way down. And okay. Take your torch or your finger, blend in your edge all the way. And once again, remember, I'm very fast. Done this for a very long time. If it takes you longer to finish this than it does for me, it's okay. All you need to do is pause. Okay, so now let's go ahead and, you know what I think this needs? It needs some darker spots right here in this area here. I'm going to use the 3H even though it's not a dark one, because I don't want like extreme dark, but I do want some different shading, grays, I guess you could say. I'm going to come in here on top of my existing lines and re-scribble them just in this area that's coming at the camera, at the viewer. And I'm going to kind of fade it out. That definitely helps. If you need to blend it, you can. Now we want to do the darkest of darks. Grab your 6B or your 5B, and we're going to come in here. You see this upside down V? We want to go ahead and put the darkest up here. Dark, 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 and start working your way out to lighter. Don't cover the spots too much. Get a little light-handed over top of the spots as you bring it out. We want one right here. And I'm just simply looking at the example and duplicating. If you're wondering, how do you know to put shadow right there? It's because I'm looking at a sample. I mean, it's pretty logical. If something's covering something, it's going to have a shadow. Pretty obvious. All right, so let's get a little bit of shadowing up here, a little bit over here. I think that's about all there is on the body, but now I want to come into the head. They have these bones that stick up. We want to get underneath the bone. And then I also want to get a little bit of darkness up here with the hair. I'm going to throw in a couple of dark lines in with the hair that's sticking up. And finally, let's do some dark inside the ear. Grab a torch or your finger or a Q-tip and start blending that in so it doesn't stand out. Work with your dark into the light. It's the same thing we did with Oswald the baby. And there. I think that's pretty good looking little family. Now, in my classes, I usually tell my students that they have to give it a background. And this is your opportunity to fill in the background with anything you want. You can do the grass, which remember was more like this. Lots and lots of grass. You can have them standing on cobblestones, which you would do the exact same way as the spots on your little zebras, just do some organic shapes and shade them. Give a little bit of a grout line between them. And that would be cobblestones. You can put them in water. You can put them at Kmart. Doesn't matter. This is your art. There's not a wrong way to do it. Now, when you are completely done, the last thing you're going to want to do is sign your art. Every artist signs their artwork. I hope you enjoyed doing your giraffe sketch. Sketching Made Easy. It is from the Royal and Langnickel Art Studios. It is a art in a box, or actually art in a envelope. I love doing these. These are wonderful gifts. If you have children or aunts or cousins or just friends, these are a great gift. They have colorful ones with color pencils. This one's just one with the art pencils. I just thought it would be a really good way to explain shading to my students. So I enjoyed working with you today, and hopefully I will talk to you soon. Remember, I'd love to see your artwork. Feel free to email or text it to me. I'd love to see the finished products so we can put it on our Facebook page and our website. Have a wonderful day, and we will talk to you soon.